Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, Explicit Measures Podcast. How's everybody doing? Tommy, you're in a different scene. You are traveling. And
I just went to the Field of Dreams baseball game.
Awesome.
It was kind of crazy, kind of great.
For those of you who are following along live on YouTube, this is a pre-recorded session. Mike is going to be out this week, and so when you're hearing this, we'll be pre-recording two sessions, Tuesday and Thursday, so we can still give you some argumentative commentation around Power BI.
Commentary, Mike.
Commentary
Tuesday.
And we'll give you some more podcasts, but these will be pre-recorded, so there probably won't be a chat area on the YouTube stream. So just FYI for people who are following along. For those of you who are listening on the podcast channels, you don't care. There's no chat there anymore.
Yeah. Everything's completely normal.
Everything's completely normal. Excellent. Awesome. So jumping in here, what is this week's topic, or this Tuesday's topic, Tommy?
So I believe we're talking about tables and their role in Power BI.
This has been a strong point of
no explanation needed.
No explanation. That's it. You don't need to jump. You can just jump right into it. This is one that I feel is needing some love, and I can't tell you the number. So let me just preface this with Seth and I have been very vocal on the podcast around the table experience inside Power BI is not the best. We there's some things to be desired there. It's really kind of difficult to make large tables and make them work well. There are some visuals that are custom that seem to meet some of our needs, but not all of them. So I'll just get into it. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah. So the preface there is right. We've spent a lot of time over the last year in embedded, right, in making reports for external facing clients and things. So that's where a lot of those, I think, challenges have come into play, because you're comparing a tool to capabilities that you see elsewhere or against highly customized custom dev work, right? Yep. But that's the place that you're competing with when you're using embedded.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get there, right? But I do like some of the preface comments or questions, that Tommy has set up, for the conversation today, which is, how and when do you use tables?
Yeah.
And I will say on every page.
So there's a pot.
I'm kind of joking, but I'm not, right? Since day one, I think we are the most ardent supporters of looking at visualization in a meaningful way that doesn't include a table.
Yep.
And there's a million different options we have to produce an insight that people are after.
Yeah.
And it's still an argument, right? I think where I land a lot is, at least on the second page of a report, there's at least a small table somewhere to provide a little detail so that people can, see a grain that they need to, or compare a number against raw data.
So one of my things I feel like I find, so there's maybe two parts of this, right? There's tables that I like to put into a report, and I think there are substantial use cases for where I would put a table, but sure. I feel like the limitation of the canvas, you can only see so many records in a table. So I'm not saying throw all tables out altogether, but if you put a table on a page, the page is only 740 720 pixels deep or whatever that is, right? And you can only fit so many lines of information, and yes, you can continue to scroll through it, but then I would kind of argue is, if we have a lot of records, a couple thousand records or something like that, maybe even more, right? What is the value that we're giving to you? What actions are we able to drive when I give you that really long table and you have to scroll forever and ever and ever to get there? Now, I think one of the primary use cases of tables is I need to get an extract of data out, and so table becomes like the go-to item. Like let's go build a table, put all the columns there that I need, and then I filter a little bit to get the data narrowed down, and then I extract the table.
Well, I don't think we can think of the table as only the long record of rows, right? And I think that's where we may differ on some of these, where every time we're referring to tables so far, we're talking about like a giant Excel table or like, hundreds of rows. Well, first off, you have to think about the user's point of view. And I see your face, Seth, and I will get to it. So, but uh, but you got to think of from the user point of view, right? So I would say, first off, they want to see, take take any example you want, and the reason why someone's looking at a table usually is they're looking at some record and they're trying to look up something. And again, you can say yes, Excel. You can have filters on the table. You can have slicers. You can have other visuals affecting that.
Yep.
They just want to see some of those, like what are the actual component names, right? But you can't put that in a bar chart.
Nope.
If you have
Agreed.
Sure.
50,
Yeah.
and you want to see the latest sales, you want to verify too. The other side of this too is when it comes to a table's role is, the table is never meant to be for hundreds or thousands of rows. No one is scrolling thousands of rows.
Agreed.
People are still scrolling. People are more comfortable, and you know what they want to see too, and this is kind of the most ridiculous. People want to see numbers. Looking at a bar chart, usually do they have to hover over each one? uh some people, again, the experience of a bar chart where there's no data labels, sometimes it's easier for them to consume it when they see the numbers. So, and one bonus third one is too, when it comes to when you're displaying a mix of, let's say, like three measures compared to like a dimension, sometimes that's easier in a table. In terms of complexity of a visual to be overwhelming. Because if you're just trying to say baseball player by hits, home runs, and strikeouts, right? Visualize that for me. The best way is probably a matrix.
Yes,
So,
I would agree with that, but you're
yeah,
talking like a very so this is where I think I
I don't think it's specific at all.
no,
You have more than three metrics.
yeah, but you have a you're talking about a baseball player, right? Or you're talking about certain things over years, right? So
It's
in those
sure.
in those cases, those tables are much smaller, and I think there's two common use cases here, right? I think there's definitely a place for that. I think smaller tables that are showing you the numbers are also there. However, you made a comment that says I can't see the numbers on all the charts. Well, no one is aware of or knows how to use show as table. So every visual on every report page has a show as table option you can turn on, or it's actually on by default, and you can show the visual as a single visual and look at all the numbers as a table for that visual. So that's one solution around that. Another solution around that is actually making your report have a toggle that goes between the visual and the
Yeah.
table information already. So you kind of default to the visual, and then you kind of have a quick switch that allows you to change it into a table so you can see the numbers there. And I agree. These are all, I think these are solid use cases. But if I think about a user experience on top of a report, this is where I think that there's at least an overview page, or you're trying to lead with the visuals, and then when someone is interested in a particular area, like I need to see a single baseball player's stats and I want to just see all the stats, then I'm drilling them through to a separate page that's going to take a narrowed down window of data. And this is another thing, another design, I think, advantage of this is when you do that, when you give people the drill through ability to get to another page that has the more tables or the more details of information,
Mhm.
you increase the performance of the report. So if you do drop a very large
Yeah.
table, you get errors like can't render out of memory, the query's too large. Like so, I mean, these are real problems. Like you have real problems with dropping in a very large table like that. And the whole idea, my gripe with this whole thing is, you need a table. You're not doing Power BI. You are talking to the data model and you're using Excel. That's really what you want. That you're trying to supplement your Power BI report with the large table view, then that's not what you're trying to produce. So there's another
So,
tool that's
but
better for that.
that's a dead argument, though, right? It really is in my mind because,
Is it?
frankly, well,
I'm arguing it.
I will say it's a lost argument, right?
You have problems
In
today in
in
reports that won't
scenarios,
render.
in right, is that a problem of the tool? Or is that like me having to convince people who want to see information in a certain way without more clicks and being taken to a different page? Like I'm 100% around solutioning or arguing that like, yes, we can produce, the insight that you want without a table. But to Tommy's point, like you're not going to have all of the fields within a bar chart that you're going to want to look at. We know that there
Agreed.
are hundreds of use cases that we've encountered over the years where it's like, yes, here's the bar chart information, here it's grouped by this, and now I want to see the details of the ID, this identifier, the product
Mhm.
name, the thing. That's not going to be in a two-table function in a bar chart. Like my biggest problem right now is the the ease of use, right? Like we know what
Yeah,
the deficiencies of the table are. It's because Power BI renders everything, right? At the same time. But the but fundamentally, we already know that there's ways to solve that problem, right? If I'm to adopt the idea and method to have a single model that supports many different clients using row level security, whatever, one of those clients is going to be the big one, right? And to your point, what happens right now when we use tables? Out of memory, I can't generate all this data. Good. We don't want you to, nor does the end user. So like my solution or
right,
my things
right.
that we've talked about are, why don't you page?
Yep.
Show them the first 100.
Yep.
Show like
Yep.
just arbitrarily.
Yeah,
Why are you forcing me to use a measure? One, because I may not want one. I may need the grain of data in the table. Give me the top 100 records. Have them wait as they scroll down. Fine. Or
Yes.
as a report author, let me say, I only want to see the top 100 records. We know
limit
that's
it.
functionally possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
auto limit it.
Yep. Yep.
Like it blows my mind that
Yes.
we're fighting that argument over and over and over again when like the functionality, come on. Like,
Yeah.
dude, just give the hundred. Like that conversation to me is so much easier to have because it's like, yeah, of course we're not going to render everything.
Yeah.
These other visuals, yeah, this they aggregate all the data.
Yep.
It's all there for you. This isn't an export tool. So click on these things, filter down to the point, and it's going to show you the relevant information. And if you want to page through it, you can still have the same capacity of like only 150,000 records exported, whatever the case. And you've solved this problem by just
yeah,
putting in paging. We know other custom visuals have done it,
yeah.
but
You
instead we
you
throw
can't
down
get
this
rid of
ugly
tables.
error that we constantly battle all the time as report authors
Agreed.
because I'm sorry, I can't do it. It's blowing up.
No,
Well, it's annoying, dude. Blow.
So I when I was
no, but you can't get rid of. Here's the thing, though. You cannot get rid of. You're no. I don't care if
I'm not
tables
saying
get
get rid of
worse
tables.
in
I'm
Power
not saying it. I'm saying like
BI,
when
but I'm saying
if you're
you're
using the
never going
table
to be able to get
visual,
rid of
if you're
users
using the
wanting
table visual
tables.
the way it is today, you have limitations. And so like and
You haven't.
you don't get
Yeah.
to solve that unless you do what Seth's saying. Like so there are custom visuals out there that I think do a good job, do a better job of like there's paging in there. I've seen some visuals that have come out that are quite impressive. There's this whole concept like in visual calculations that's relevant for like formatting the matrix the way it is today, the matrix visual, anything on the row level is like locked in place and you can't scroll past it. So if you have like
Mhm.
5 or 6 columns in a
Yeah.
matrix, you're stuck. You have those columns have to
Yeah.
stay
No.
there
Yeah. You're
and
absolutely right.
you can't move them away. So I think my gripe a lot with like is some of the standard out of the box visuals are just missing some what I would say very key features to help us build these better experiences, UX around these experiences. And there are now other visuals. So I think another challenge I find is there's a lot of really other good table visuals out there, but it's hard to know every one of them, how they all work. They're all a little bit different. So I found like little features in other visuals that make sense, or I found a lot of features in a table visual that well that's I need to that visual doesn't let me turn things off, right? So I've seen a visual in the tables that is it's so rich, it has so many features. If I gave that to our end users, they'd be overwhelmed because there's too much going on. Like that's not what they want. So there's yeah, I think there's design requirements around the tabling area that needs to be improved.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, yeah, the experience we may be frustrated with things with tables, but at the end of the day, users are always going to require tables, and
100%.
I don't know if that's like a mental change or, as we've talked about before, a culture change. I don't think so because it one's something comfortable to actually see some numbers, right? And just to see like 15%.
Yep.
I'm not saying see 1,000, 2,000 records,
Yep.
but being able to see that. Also, I just want to say, like, part of the thing that's always going to be there, and until there's a better solution, great. But as of right now, is part of the auditing too. Do you know how many things we changed with the data on the back end because we provide a details page that allows them to say, hey, that record's not right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, are you expecting everyone just to export it and then do that? Like, being able
Right.
to scroll and see, certain things that they're filtering on. There are too many use cases where I think it's essential to a good experience,
So
but for user to
so I
have
would
that
I
full
wouldn't
encompassing what they want to do in Power BI.
Yeah, so I don't expect every user to export to Excel and go from there and look at the data there. What I am expecting though
No,
is I would expect as report authors, if we know that people need to see larger swaths of data and almost act like a pivot table. I mean, honestly, we're talking tables. Excel's got it dialed in. It's pivot tables are the best. They if you don't know how to use them, learn them. Like that is if you are an analyst person, that should be your home place. Like that's a really rich experience that I think is very well built. And Steve Campbell at one of our user groups talked about how he makes an Excel document connected to a data model and then links a download file to that Excel file and puts it inside a report. So, like, instead of actually clicking the export to Excel button on the visual, you could actually click a button that says export to Excel, and you literally get a downloaded version of Excel already connected to the model, already has tables and formatting the way you want it inside that thing. You could build pivot tables for people. You can kind of pre-build what they want. So what I'm saying is there is other solutions out there that are better just for table viewing. And I think I'm very pleased to know that paginated reports has come to Power BI. So we have the ability here. So now I can actually inject parameters. I can make lists of information, and it does page through data. So but the downside of this is now you have to be on premium to be able to use that kind of
and
feature.
what a workaround! You already have to have the report in the report server, right?
Right.
So that's you already have that painted
Yep,
report. What a workaround!
agreed.
And it is a bit of a it's a bolt-in, right? I
It
mean,
is. Totally
a
agree.
it's not the seamless experience, and nor am I arguing that the default table in Power BI should be what the capabilities of that new custom visual allow for, which is exporting a lot more data. It's solution for, getting at the grain. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing I want to see a table on a page because that's what my users want.
Yep.
Help me limit it down so I don't get errors, right?
Hmm.
I do
Yeah,
agree, there's certain definitely customization that I'd still love to be able to do in making tables look and feel or have additional capabilities that I have seen out on the market. And to your point, Mike, the matrix, when blown out in hierarchy, is the preferred view
Yep.
of everyone,
Yep.
and
Agreed.
to lock those panes up or not allow an end user to just go to the right
yeah,
Yep.
is a very bad experience, and it makes because you're limited in the scope of that page size, right? And if you
Agreed.
didn't have those
yeah.
limitations and somehow could stretch those out, you know and there's different methods embedded, right, to
Like,
just grab the object, but then you lose the continuity between potentially other things on what would have been
Yeah.
the page, right? So
yeah.
give if you want to break a framework, right? Like give me the unlimited scroll to the right then, right? Or something like that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, when you're bound
The-
to that
yeah,
frame and then you're only giving me one column, it's not a user experience, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's bad.
Well, so
yeah.
we've been harping on tables quite a lot here, but I'm also interested in like understanding like what are the workarounds for these kind of things?
Oh,
What do we do to
Yeah.
I mean until you
yeah.
find a custom visual that does exactly what we want, or you just say no, we don't do them. Like those are two options we have here. But I think people who are listening will be like, okay, yeah, we agree with you. We can
Sure.
we can have sentiment with your pain here, but I think as professionals in this space, like what do we do to work around these challenges that we're seeing, such that we can still get a decent user experience as well as this. So what have
So,
you guys
well,
found that kind of works around this, or how do you do it?
Mike, you actually raised this already. I think the two solutions, and it's funny though because both solutions are good in terms of
Eh,
maybe
They're
The most
okay. Like
the good.
they're
Yeah.
workarounds. I mean, I would agree with
So
that. They're
so
workarounds.
if you watched the baseball game last night, you might have heard "Let's Go Yankees," but it's actually chanting, "Make the show tables a better experience." Microsoft, if you're listening. But
Tommy, I expect you to say that every
it's
time
actually
you're go Yankees, Power BI rocks. Listen to the podcast.
yeah. Let's go Yankees and make the formatting on show tables a better experience. Why can't I format that? Goodness. But but I think like honestly, the two solutions that you put was both show tables and show users how to do that,
Correct.
and then have a button for actually make a table. But the thing is, I don't really teach users to show. Like I'll show people you can do show tables.
Yep.
I don't promote it a lot. You know why? It's almost worse than not having a table at all because it expands the entire page. Like just make that thing a table. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like don't make me expand and get out of the experience. Make it a table. Show a table.
Yeah.
Don't make the a table. Like
I found the best success of doing.
I didn't think that angered me as much as it did.
That is a standard out of the box option. So I don't have to do any extra work to it. It would be nice if I could just have an option on a visual. And again, thinking through this, I can do it with bookmarks today. So I've done reports where we have two icons, one click it for the bar chart, and then one click it for the table. And when someone's really pushing me for like a page with tables on it, and that's kind of where this is where I personally get a little bit more burnt because I'm like, okay, if we're just gonna have a bunch of tables on a page, we're talking like analyst level people. We're talking like that's where I'm like, I see what you're trying to get to, but I'd like to at least attempt some visuals first and then fall back to just dropping tables on the page for you. So I prefer to do, here's two visuals. Here's the visual I'm going to give you. This is the bar chart. And then I'm going to fall back to a button that lets you toggle between visual and table. And so then you just switch it out and then you're good. So I think I would like to see, that it works with bookmarks, but I would like to see another option that says, hey, here's a visual. And I think today you can have user preferences on which visuals you pick inside the service. So if you go into the service, you have the ability of like the user could switch the visuals themselves. But I think I would like it to be a bit more like integrated, I would say, maybe into the visual itself. Like, I'm gonna give you the visual, and then inside the visual, there's actually like a little toggle icon in the visual that lets me quickly kind of jump in between the two, and I could pick, oh, it's a bar chart, it's a line chart, and it's a table. Like I could just have those options available and kind of make it a little bit easier for me to do it, so I don't have to like work so hard with bookmarks and all kinds of other craziness that on the other side.
I want to take it real quick out of the technical side of a solution, but actually think of for users who are really struggling with how to use tables is kind of maybe alter the way you consider what a table's role is on a particular page. Like if you have multiple visuals and you want to add a table,
Sure.
right? So just understand what dimensions and metrics you want to add. It shouldn't be everything. It shouldn't be your main thing. And again, it should be kind of like almost like if I need to see a few pieces of information from some of my slicers, right? It shouldn't be the first thing that they're looking at for insights. It should something if I'm looking at month, I want to look at January data, click on the line chart, click on the bar chart.
Sure.
Okay, now I'm seeing two rows of information, seeing the top 10, 20 campaigns.
Yep.
That's a great use for a table and where they can fit in. Because the thing is, if you're trying to fit everything into one visual anyways, it doesn't matter if it's a table or not. That's not going to help the user.
Yeah.
So think of the role and what actually we've talked a lot about the ICBS. They have a great PDF, the International Business Standards.
Yes,
You
really
can
good.
download this entire thing for free. I just started reading this and I'm mind blown. Basically, one of the things is think about what it's trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Right. So think about especially the table rather than a matrix or a matrix with everything in 5 dimensions. What is that trying to communicate to you?
Yes.
So if it's like top, you have campaigns, show me the campaigns with the sales and the cost and the ROI. So I can get a scrolling list.
Yep.
And you're not gonna have 1,000, but that's a great use.
And not even like, so this is another point that you're bringing up that's really good. In IBCS standards, I think it's IBCS, I think it's the standards.
Yeah.
There's another, they have tables, they have information there, but each row of data in a column actually has a little bar chart that goes along with it. And you'll see like these little indicators that like grow and shrink. So one of my other challenges, I think one of the things I see, and this is maybe just a general observation, when I went through some of my training stuff, specifically to your point, Tommy, like why is the table there? what insights are we trying to show? Is there any actions we can say or tie to this table? You find that it's more difficult. There's a lot more cognitive load to people looking at a table and picking out which value is the highest. And so shading in a cell helps because then you can kind of see the colors of the cells and still see the data that's there. The IBCS standards show these little bars, either up or down, or little indicators like a lollipop chart kind of inside the row level.
Yeah.
Those are good opportunities to add that, because now at a glance, when I sort things, it's much easier for me to visually see what's going on there. So I'm not saying no to tables. Again, I don't want to be very clear about that, but I think there are better ways, and we should be, as report authors and UX designers, we should be kind of critical of like what we're trying to do with those tables. And I think we all kind of like at some point in time say we have to get the users what they want, but I think we're also trying to challenge them analytically to think a little bit deeper about what we're trying to do. And then when I get the request that says I just need a big table, I want to see all the things, all the dimensions, all the measures in one thing, fine. But I would prefer to put that like somewhere else on a different page and try to get you to at least drill down through. Like, let's just look at all the data for this year. Let's look at all the data for this month or for this category, right? I think that's the power of the visualization piece. Is there's so much information in all the tables, you don't know what to look at. And the visualizations are meant to be there to kind of point you in a slight direction to get you to think about, okay, sales are down for this product. Let's go figure out what's going on there. That's when I would maybe start exploding and showing tables and the details. We've already kind of weeded out, and this is where I make my point when I talk to people about this. If you have a large table, 90% of it's probably not useful to you. So if you think about your data as a large data model, a couple rows or a couple records are what of interest to you. So the visualization or the visuals portion is what I'm trying to use to help you narrow down that table to get down to just, the couple hundred records that are relevant or the couple thousand records that are of importance to you or what you need to look at.
So same, right? I think that's the intent of every report: insight to action, right?
Correct.
If I can produce on a page all a rapid insights based on what you're clicking on, and then the action is I have a set of something that I'm showing in a table that provides the identifiers that I need to take into another system to take action on because of some insight I've found. It is very disjointed kind of right now with a drill through, come back, drill through, come back, drill, as opposed to some of the things we're talking about. Like, and you can do top end, right? Slap a measure in the table that's going to show you the top, 100 records, but it's not always possible unless you have a measure. It's not very intuitive from a implementation standpoint. And my argument is like, listen, we're gonna need this like identifier area for somebody to take a report and likely go to a different system, because we can't always integrate this stuff all the time. Right?
Agreed.
I'd love to be able to click on the Power app and I'm gonna go fix it right from the report. But it's not like that most of the time. So when you keep somebody on a page, the user experience is much better than pushing them somewhere else so that they have to come back, because it's it creates that like back and forth, right?
And you lose a little bit of context when you jump pages a little bit there too.
Yeah.
Right.
You
have to be very.
That is frustrating.
That's also I think why they implemented the filter pane. I think the filter pane is a good way of kind of trying to consolidate experience, because then I can at least see, like, if I keep my filters off of slicers and put them on the filter pane, when I'm doing these hops between pages, I can have a consistent experience of these filters are on the same on every page. I can see what's being filtered, and I can automatically see at page level or report level. I can at least have that communication with users. People still get confused today about the difference between report and page level filtering. It just does. And they're like, well, I can't see it in my data. I applied the filter. Like, well, you've already filtered out half your data, so like that's why it's missing. But
and then you try to explain to them visual level filters. It's just like, I don't even explain that to people anymore. Because when people say like, oh, well, what's that other one? I go, don't even worry.
Don't worry about it. Just ignore it.
We just got you to understand this. So we're not even gonna
go deeper
into this.
That's a whole nother conversation. Really.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Can I just take these filters and make them page level?
No.
No.
Mm,
Why
Change-
not?
It's gonna-
Well,
it's gonna change
it
everything.
looks easy, but it's not. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different dynamics going on in that page.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
my goodness.
Well, awesome. Tommy, give us a wrap up. I think this has been a good topic. I love the table discussion. It's a hard topic, and I think we're going to see more improvement over in the future about it. So I'm excited to see where Microsoft takes it. I will.
Indeed.
Yeah.
People, I would say, if nothing else, go dig around on app stores. There's actually a number of really good table visuals that are out there. Go explore some. Those might meet some of your needs, and we'll see where this goes. I'm pretty sure it'll evolve into something better as
Yeah.
it keeps maturing.
With the new updated visual gallery, because they listen to us, by
Yeah,
the way.
True.
So
The whole
we made a
app source
difference.
the whole app source experience has changed recently, so that's a super big win there too.
They and said we need to do this, and it took 2 months and it's
Yeah,
done. So we're making
sure.
an impact.
There we go.
Yeah.
Little by
Yeah,
little.
I completely believe that. Anyways, so you can find the podcast anywhere podcasts are available. Please like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you want to join the conversation live, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:30 a.m. Central. Join us on literally any platform I think imaginable at this point. LinkedIn, on YouTube. One thing we ask and we'll always ask is if you like the content here, you like what we're talking about, please tell a friend, tell a colleague, share the word. We love your input. A lot of conversations we're doing is based on feedback that we've gotten from you guys and conversations.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Happy Tuesday for everyone, and we'll see you on Thursday.